What's up guys, my name is Jess, and this time we're doing some customer work on this 99 Ram 1500. We got a whole slew of stuff to do. Let me bring you in close, we'll go through it. Let's do it. There. Let me show you this dash quick. Moving inside the truck, you can kind of see the whole bezel goes all the way around. Missing, busted off, all the tabs and everything is stuck in the dash. Trying to get that patched up. And then you may or may not be able to see that there's some damage here. We're going to see if we can't get that patched up. Diff cover leak, we're going to start with that out back. I know it's kind of hard to see. I'll get some lights in there, but we have a small drip forming, and we're going to get that resealed up while we got her in the shop here. So let's just jump into it. Okay. For those of you playing along at home, we went ahead and hit all the bolts on the wire wheel, and the owner requests we do some blue Loctite on the bolts. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Blue Loctite number 24240. That is a thread locker, Permatex. And then the owner also requested we don't glue the cover back on. We're going to do the factory gasket. Felpro Romeo Delta Sierra 55073 for this 12 bolt rear end. I'm not sure what the rear end is or what the rain gear size is or whatever, but fun fact, the bolt tag was still intact on this cover, believe it or not. 1179 is what the tag is on it. You can kind of see that there, hopefully. So we'll be sure to put that back on. One of the real YouTubers I like to watch would be real upset if that tag didn't get back on there. Comment down below if you know what YouTuber I'm talking about that rants and raves about things he hates and dislikes. One of them being people who take off the diff tags. Anyway, so I'm going to use just a little bit of black RTV, the oil resistant stuff here, just enough to get the gasket to stick. Ultra black gasket maker, oil resistant 82180. This is the stuff I like to use most often. Yeah, since we're just going to hold the gasket in place, we're not making the gasket out of it. That should be fine. That should be fine, he said. Famous last words. Going to use my really crappy razor blade. Crappy for scraping gasket surfaces, but should do wonders to open up this saran wrap package from Felpro. Be sure to get my greasy fingers on it. That's fine. And then, yeah, flip this thing around until it looks right. Just about the end of that cord. Perfect. Probably only 1.5 more to go. All right, that wraps that project. All right, back on our 99 Ram project this morning. I've got our junkyard Can-N box just kind of setting in place here. Looks like we've got one bolt right down there that this bracket ties to, which will hold that in place. And then they've got this AC line that runs kind of right in the way of the box, right? But if you look at it on the inside of the box here, we can split the box in half and we can slip it around the AC line. So that's probably what I end up doing here in just a minute. Once I get that kind of situated,
I'll probably work on getting this goofy thing off the intake. You can see it's probably been busted for a while. When I went to the junkyard, I was looking at stuff for these trucks. All the air boxes were trashed. All of the dashes were trashed. It's just old, brittle plastic. Seems to be just kind of the way that it went. Not a lot you could do about it. And of course, the dealer doesn't make that stuff anymore because it's more than 5 days old. So that's not helpful. And even if they did, they'd probably be like $1,000 for a new airbox. So anyway, we're gonna keep rolling with our junkyard K&N box here. There's the other half of it down there, and we'll see what we come up with. All right, got it mostly mounted up in there. Just split the case that we talked about, put the hose through it, and then put it all back together. And we got that bolt over there mounted down. So when I found this in the junkyard, this hole in here and the core support were stripped, and no amount of prying or wedging or anything could get that bolt out. So I don't have this little bracket that goes here that bolts the airbox to the core support. So I have this little crappy cheap piece of aluminum. I'm just gonna bend this up to make it work. Sit it in there, make a couple of marks, make a couple of bends, drill a couple of holes, and we'll be set. Let's keep going. All right, got our box mounted up here. Got the tube sitting in place right now. The other thing this kit was missing when I got to the junkyard was this was the bolt that actually holds the hat down on the throttle body. This is actually an old battery hold down J bolt that I have trimmed down, but the threads are just right to fit or to thread down into the throttle body. So what I'll have to do here is I'll probably have to modify this, see if I can find a tap that will match these threads so that I can run the wing nut on it, and hopefully we can finagle all this together here. Let's find out. New dash bezel. You can kind of see that there's some damage up here along the top. I'm going to try to get that patched up. You can see that I have already started making some other test patches on some other odds and ends. So we're going to see if we can get this taken care of and drying, and then we'll start working on the main portion of the dash. Our canvas. And our paints. Let's begin. To begin with, looks like we have a very nice, brilliant white color. And then to complement it, we have a very nice, rich, deep black. We want to have about equal parts. Yes, very nice. We will then now begin to mix the colors together. So we have a nice, uniform, beautiful gray. Yes, very nice. Mix it around. Make sure there are no remnants of the black or the white on their own. Yes, the technique. Yes, very nice. You want to be careful not to have too much paint on the brush at one time. We want this to be more of a controlled environment. The first stroke. Yes. Nice, even, medium length strokes. We're not so much looking to fill right away, just more build. Give our color something to stick to. Yes, very nice. Coming along nicely. Fine start to the foundation as we begin to build these mountains of our landscape. We need some more colors. It's always better to mix too little paint to start. After your paint is thoroughly mixed, you won't be fighting the stiffness and hardness if you do mix too much. Mountains are a little low in the spot. Let's add there. Just a nice, moderate dab as we build our happy mountains. Yes, smooth it out across the landscape. Yes, our first mountain has come along quite nicely.
believe this first mounting was just nearly done. Nearly done. Nice, happy little mountain. You know what our mountain needs? Are some happy trees. Yes, happy trees is what we need here. Top our beautiful mountain with some happy trees as it joins the mountain with our landscape here, and join them very peacefully, beautifully. Short, blunt, dabbing strokes, and it's smooth. Yes, coming along. Looks like just a little bit more, and our first happy mountain with its happy trees will be complete. How are your happy trees coming? Are they happy enough? Maybe what our happy mountain needs besides its happy trees is a happy little pond, right? There. That low spot. Yes, get that filled in nicely. Very nice. Oh, looks like our happy mountain has a happy freaking crack in it. All the way down. Well, I guess we will address that now. We'll just make this a happy waterfall coming down from our happy mountain with its happy trees. Much like that. And somebody's cutting down my happy trees from off camera. Wonderful. Now that we have finished our happy mountain, let us leave it be, let the paint dry. So we move on to our larger, second, happy mountain. Won't you join me?
About the time I was wrapping up the dash project, the owner got a hold of me and asked me about installing some fog lights. The truck never came with factory fog lights, so there's going to be starting over from scratch. So the next clip you see here coming up soon is going to be me starting that project as well.
Alright, here's our patched dash bezel. As you can tell, I'm clearly a body guy. There's a crap ton of JB Weld in there. Probably better to use some sort of a fiberglass or body filler of some sort, but JB Weld is what was accessible. So that's what we ended up with. Anyway, you can kind of see what it looks like. It's not awful. I mean, I'm sure a lot worse has been done. The big patch looks like it came out a lot better as far as being filled properly. The smaller patch here, we are in uncharted territory. Obviously, I didn't get the JB Weld thick enough, dense enough to build in all the areas. So I have a bunch of low spots. So instead of waiting another 4, 5, 7 hours for more JB Weld to set and cure it to be sandable, I thought I'd try some super glue. See if that might do us any good. So you can kind of see by the reflection of the wet super glue, it's kind of leveling. We'll see. We're just flying by the seat of my pants here. We're just gonna see what happens. Bear with me here. Alright, so upon further inspection of our crack dash, you can see here's one there. We've already had some repairs in there. Some repair work there. end up there, end up there. This is all before me. Big crack and a split there. More broken there. This thing is just falling to pieces. So we're just doing everything we can. So at this point, I have this piece right here that's got the little red foam deals on it. That is cut out of another dash, as you can see, as I crudely attempted to trim to fit this. But I have a fix for that. So, like I say, this whole piece here is out of another dash. And I have a small repair in there. We got the heat on it, trying to get it to seal up. I got our little cubby here, a little storage space in place here, keeping us all in place with this bottom screw and that top screw up there, keeping everything kind of relative and square to how it needed to be in the first place. So I have, I think, 2 small pieces need to go in here, and probably a patch panel on the inside of this seam here, and we should be pretty close. I'm also got a piece of tape on the dash here, keeping this little storage pocket flush with the face of the dash, so everything kind of still stays relative to itself. So I'm going to keep chipping away at it, and let's see what comes of it. All right, while the dash is drying up, I'm going to turn my attention to the driver door panel, start getting the front speakers replaced. Here's our lights, factory replacement fog lamps on our 99 Ram that we're doing here that did not come with factory lights. So these new TYC units, they come with this like 896 bulb, which is kind of goofy and odd. They don't really, I can't say they don't really use these, but they don't put them in cars anymore to my knowledge, and they're a little bit harder to get a hold of, and they only put out like 37 watts worth of light. So we're going to do something about that. That's obviously what our housings are set up for. But as you can see, we have a Sylvania H11 crammed into this one. It's not dead centered perfect, but it's, you know, looks pretty good in there. See if I can do this one-handed now. I have adapted this, as you can see, crudely. It looks crude, but it actually snaps in there pretty well. Our H11 now fits in there just fine, and it still gets 90 degree rotation to keep it set in the housing. This one obviously isn't done yet, so we're going to do this process on this unit, and then we're going to get them out in the truck. Let's do it. Alright, here's our 2 fog lights with our H11s in place. Not too bad. Look like they fit pretty good in there. Not perfectly centered, but there's going to be a lot more light than that stupid 896 bulb. Just for fun, anyone playing along at home, TYC numbers here, both right and left. And then any kind of H11. And then the Dorman connector. Probably wouldn't recommend these. These are kind of cheesy. 84783 on those is just what we could get a hold of quickly. Anyway, so I'm going to get these all finished up. And I'm going to hook them up, see how they look first. And then we'll see if we get them out on the truck. Alright, just temporarily hooked up to the battery there. You can see all sorts of light coming out of there. There you go. See it hitting the trailer there. And don't worry about that. No, don't worry about that 5.3. We're worried about this. So anyway, there's our light hooked up. Plenty of light. Can feel the heat coming out of it already. Sneak down here. Here's where the factory units would have gone had this truck had any. There and right there. But if you're looking in here, there's no wiring, there's no brackets, obviously no lights, nothing. So we are going to add one to this truck. So let's keep moving here. All right. So picked up some carriage bolts. Obviously these are not factory. We didn't have any factory bolts, so we're going to try to do it this way. But if you notice, threads are too big to fit in the hole. So obviously Dodge probably had something special that they used in here for these carriage bolts. So what I'm going to try to do is take just a little bit of the material off the threads and see if I can't get it in that way with the old bench grinder. Let me see if I can do that. Give me 1 sec. Alright, you can see lights are in there. And then I went ahead and started running the ground wire just to keep things moving along here. Wiring is one of the most boring things to watch on the planet. So sort of run everything up and around. Working on my routing. Up in there you can kind of see. So they run up and around the frame rail there. And they're going to chase this main loom all the way up and around and into the fuse box. Then I'm going to try my darndest here to try to actually wire up through the fuse box correctly. So like where it says fog light relay there, and then up there is actually the fog light fuse. So we're going to try to utilize that so it helps keep everything look nice and clean. So we're going to keep at it here. Alright, we got one of them on. All just kind of laid out. I still have to wire the hot side of this light. Run up around through there, and we're just jumped to the battery right now in the factory slot there. So there you go. Working so far. I'm gonna keep at it. Back for an update. So we've had our fuse box pulled apart here. We have added some wires. You might be able to tell because they're not as tucked as nicely as the old wires that have been there for a while. So we managed to add this relay, and we've added this fuse to correspond to our relay and our fuse there. So that is all good to go. Negative cable is just resting on the post. We sneak inside. Well, it's hard to see, but we have a couple of wires here. So in theory, if I can manage to do this here we go. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but you can, the relay is working. So if you look in through the glass here, there you go. Working from here anyway. Neither one of these wires are hot. They're both ground. I don't like to run extra hot wires if I can help it. So that tells me that the wiring to the lights is good. It tells me that the wiring from the lights to the fuse block is good, and the fuse block wiring I've done is good between the relay and the fuse, and then from the fuse block into the cab is all good. So what are we doing now, you ask? We're gonna make a spot for the switch and the little indicator light to, you know, indicate that the lights are on. We're gonna finish punching this out, get everything mounted, and finish the wiring, and should be getting close. All right, there you have it. Apparently this cover was thicker than I was anticipating because the toggle switch really didn't have a lot of threads left. But little blue Loctite, little ratchet action, should be good to go. Cool, let's put it in. Here we are back in the truck. Here's kind of our finished product. See our light wired up in there, and the two prongs for the ground for the relay running the fog lights. Typically I don't like to use any kind of a crimp connector, but because this dash panel is removable, I like to use the bullets. Well, I don't like to use the bullets, but the bullets tend to make sense. Anyway, it's what I had, that's what I used. They're all there. Nothing gonna fall out. Kind of see what we look like there. Anyway, got the key to the on position. We're going to
flick the switch up, and hey, look, you can see the lights come on. Off, on, off, on. There it is, just like that. I'm gonna start putting this thing back together so we can wrap this thing. I don't know if you guys can tell or not, but I've had this truck off and on for a couple of weeks now. Seems like every time I turn around, there's another project to do on this thing. And as you can see, our next project is going to be trying to patch up some of this paint. You can hear how rough it is. This is the only spot on the truck that did this. Seems really odd. You can see, we close the door here. It's the only spot on basically the whole truck that did that. I mean, obviously there's other paint imperfections in the truck, but this is the worst spot. So the owners asked me to maybe touch this up a little bit. So I'm going to see if I can set up some sort of a poor man's paint booth here with a cardboard box for a water heater. Not sponsored by Home Depot. Try to build a poor man's paint booth with a propane heater. Try to keep this thing warm. Try to get this thing cleaned up. Okay, you can see we've started our mask job around the window. Wiped it all down with some acetone to get it all cleaned up. Here we are, we're just tucking it in there around this lip. You can see there. We're just gonna tuck all the way down and around, get the mirror wrapped up, get the door handle wrapped up, and we'll be ready for scuff and shoot. Let's keep going. All right, you can kind of see what we got going on here. Pretty well all masked up over the door and down the side of the cab here, the back of the cab. Gotta be honest, guys, we're not going to SEMA with this thing. This is just kind of a quick scratch and shoot to kind of fix some of that. That's all we're doing here. Some red Scotch-Brite to start it, and some white primer, some Duplicolor OE match stuff in a can, and yeah, we're just gonna start up top. Obviously, we're gonna kind of work our way down, and I'm gonna try to feather it out a little bit. I'm not a body guy. I'm not. This is probably the first time I've tried shooting a car like this. So we're going to do what we can here. And by the way, you can see my breath. It is probably 28 degrees-ish right now. And I got a propane heater I'm going to get set up here soon. I'm going to get the metal all warmed up once it's prepped fully, and we'll go from there. All right, here we are. Here is the mostly finished product. A lot of bare metal in there, and this paint is so porous. You can kind of see, get underneath the top layer there, that kind of a cream color. It's just porous, it's pitted, it is just rough. You can see all the bare metal and primer that's coming through. And I'm just hitting this with a red Scotch-Brite, and I haven't been at it that long. Maybe half hour, maybe 20 minutes. So you got a little deep there, but I'm not a body guy. Work with me. Anyway, so yeah, not too bad. It's pretty smooth. It's, like I said, I hit it pretty decently with the red Scotch-Brite, so we'll see how far we get here. In reality, I'd love to take that body line and bring it down to this body line, this top body line, just there below the badges. But I really don't think I have that kind of paint, and have to kind of work with what I've got. So we'll see what we can do. Yeah, I'm going to set up some sort of a paint booth with cardboard, try to get some heat on this metal, get it warmed up, and get it wiped down for primer. Alright, here you go. One very crude, poor man's paint booth. I have our Home Depot, non-sponsored, cardboard ripped up here, hanging up, draped really, around the door. We got our propane heater on. And if we take our little cheapy heat gun, 88 there, 58, 59 there, 55 at the very top of the door,
47. Little chilly down here still. Have to see what we can do about that. May have to crank the heater up. But we're getting there. Yeah, 65. We're probably halfway this way around. Ready to prime. Temperature wise anyway. The Duke color instructions say at least 60. So we gotta get at least close. I like to get a little warmer than that to help dry faster, but we'll see how we do. Alright, a little acetone and we'll shoot it. Okay, give that just a second to flash off. I think is what they say. Take the can up and get to it. Tonight's primer of choice, English, Duke Color Automotive Primer Series. Part number, let's see, what I believe is a DAP, Delta Alpha Peter 1689, white primer. I have already shook this up vigorously, at least 1 minute per the instructions. Alright, they have child safety lock me out of the paint. Got it. Alright, here goes something. Just enough to encourage drive. It's the next morning, as you can tell. I got a little eager beaver. Wanted to see how he came out. It is by no means perfect, but for kind of my first scratch and shoot job at home, I'm proud enough to call it mine. Not too bad. Of course, we didn't get any, didn't get any crap in it until after the clear came out some more there. That's in there. But not bad. I mean, we could step over here. That's probably 10 feet where I'm standing now, so that's probably a 20-footer. So that's not bad. And I mean, it definitely matches. Here's the furthest I went on the door, and then there's the fender or the hood. Obviously, it's pretty good. Definitely not the worst thing I've ever seen for a patch job. So, yeah, hopefully that sticks and lasts for a long time. And does a good job for the customer. I'd be okay with that. Now, for our probably next and final project, at least for a while, customer request we put some steps on here. There's no step on this side, but there's one step on the driver's side. So we're going to move that one and add one on this side about the same spot. Alright, on the driver's side now you can see where the step is currently, and then I have a mark there showing where he'd like the center of the step to be, so we're not really moving all that far. But he tries to use the step, he ends up kicking the seat to get in. So we're going to get that moved and we'll install the other one on the other side. Alright, got the first step installed. You can see where the step used to be with those two holes. Moved it forward, about a foot, maybe a little more. Got up underneath here. There you go. New kit all mounted up, ready to go. So now we're going to jump over to the other side and get that one started. Look at this. Went to start mocking the second step up here, and for some reason the bolt hole, or the bolt, wouldn't go through. I don't know if that's part of the bad cast or what's going on there. So now I've got to either drill that or knock that out somehow. Freaking post-COVID quality control, lack thereof. Alright guys, I think that just about wraps us on this thing. Let's take a quick walk around and see everything we did to this thing. Check it out. Started with the K&N intake. Then we started inside and added our OG dash panel. Installed a new Kenwood stereo and fixed the broken dash that was messed up in there. Got all of this hanging back up in there properly. And installed our new Kicker 6x9s in the doors. Back outside we added a set of factory fog lights, complete with custom homemade wiring harness tying into the original fuse box, and added a switch and a light in the dash. Added a step to the passenger side and moved the one on the driver's side, and then finished it off with a little backyard paint repair. That just about does it on our Ram 1500 here. Thank you guys so much for sticking around this long. I know it was kind of a hodgepodge and jumping around a lot of different projects on this one, but we got her done. So, thanks again for watching. Be sure to subscribe and check out some of my other videos. You should see some hanging up around there somewhere. Be sure to check those out for other shenanigans here in the garage. Thanks guys. We'll see you on the next one.